We got some new statistics about DBD. Let's go ahead and talk about it all. Kings and queens, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. It's been a little over 2 weeks since we posted the last video. I do apologize. My sleeping track has just been all over the place. With that being said, though, we're back on track. We are going to be live as you're watching this video. Also, shout out to our Etsy shop. We just opened it up. If you guys are interested in taking a look at any of these wonderful paintings that I've created, you can go ahead and click on the link in the description to take a look at our Etsy paintings. I really do hope you guys do enjoy them. I spent a lot of time on these paintings, and I figured that I open up an Etsy store so you guys can take a look at everything. So let's take a look at our first stat here. We're going to start from the left. It says most seen killer perk has a 19% usage rate. This used to be 40%, with that most used perk being Jolt. We then have the second most used perk being Scourge Hook, which makes sense, pain specifically. And then we have Barbecue and Chili still being one of those top used perks. Take a look at that kill rate, by the way, over 61%. This was previously 53%. So it means that killers are slightly getting that edge when it comes down to actually killing survivors. They spoke about this a little bit more in depth, and they said that the previously most used perk was Barbecue and Chili. This went from being used in 40% of all killer loadouts to only 17. Jolt, meanwhile, climbed from 13 to 19%. Scourge Hook Pain Residence dropped slightly, going from 20 to 17, just barely beating out Barbecue and Chili for the number 2 spot. They said that the other 10 most used killer perks include Sloppy Butcher, Save the Best for Last, Overcharge, Thanatophobia, Call of Brine, Noed, and Corrupt Intervention. They also mentioned that the average kill rate rose by 8%. This leaves killers on average with a range that we're comfortable with, making them deadly but not oppressive. They said that overall the disparity between the highest and lowest usage rates is significantly smaller than before. We intend to continue monitoring and fine-tuning perks as needed going forward, but already we're seeing far more variety in the old meta, or compared to the old meta. Wow, so that is actually pretty interesting for the killer stats. We are seeing a wide variety of perks being used instead of the same, 4 perks: Corrupt Intervention, Barbecue and Chili, Pop Goes the Weasel, Noed. Instead of seeing all those perks every single game, we're now seeing a lot of different things. I actually am very surprised that Jolt jumped all the way up to the top. I still thought that something like Pop Goes the Weasel would still be up there, as the change is pretty big, but not as significant to me as, some of the other changes that we've seen. Like Barbecue and Chili, I'm surprised it's still so high up there. So interesting. Obviously, they did buff a lot of the killers as well, so the average kill rate has increased, even though survivors still receive some changes on their ends. Now, obviously, people are going to be mentioning, survivors that die in first hook or automatically give up. I promise you, I've had conversations about this in the past, that people that do that, comparative to all the regular people that are playing and just continuously playing their games, is so minuscule compared to that. So it really doesn't even affect the percentage of what's going on. So all in all, they said it themselves. They're pretty happy on where the perks are and where the killers are. This does mean, though, that we could in the future see some changes to some of the perks that are being used more. So maybe you see some changes to Jolt, maybe you see some changes to the killers that are really oppressive. I'm sure they have individual stats for each killer, so it's quite interesting to say the least. Let's carry on and talk about some of the survivor stuff now and some of the survivor stats and info. So it says that the most seen survivor perk with a 21% usage rate is self-care, and previously it used to be 42%, and obviously that was Dead Hard. In second place was Dead Hard, and then we had Windows of Opportunity. The average escape rate has dropped significantly by 8% to 39%, and this was previously at 47%, which is absolutely crazy. They said that Dead Hard fell from being used at 42% to just 19%, making it the second most used perk. Meanwhile, Self-Care remained a popular choice in some regions but not others, securing it the first spot in 21%. A new contender entered the fray with Windows of Opportunity, shooting up to 18%. So I think it's very clear to see that windows of opportunity, self-care, and them specifying that in some regions it's a lot more popular. I'm assuming they're talking about, you know, the experience of the players and the regions of who's more experienced and who's not as experienced. Self-care and windows of opportunity are both more tailored to newer players. And, you know, you can obviously heal with a med kit, you can just heal with a boon, you can heal with your friends. So self-care is not really a viable option unless you're combining it with something else, like botany knowledge, etc. But a newer player coming into the game might see a lot of significance in this perk and want to bring that. And we can kind of see that go hand in hand with windows of opportunity spiking up, because a newer player would want to know where the pallets are, where the vaults are, etc. Obviously, you still can be an experienced player and use these perks, but more so a less experienced player would use these. They also said that the top 10 most used survivor perks include Life, Prove Thyself, Sprint Burst, Boon Circle of Healing, Borrow Time, Adrenaline, and Spine Chill. I am shocked that Sprint Burst has not been, you know, straight catapulted into #1. Obviously very happy because I use it a lot myself. But wow, it's really interesting that self-care has not even taken the spot of Dead Hard, considering that I think it's way better than Dead Hard now. Obviously, you still can get some good value out of Dead Hard if used correctly, but Sprint Burst still being below even Life and Prove Thyself is really shocking to me. Same with Boon Circle of Healing. It makes you really put it into perspective, you know, how many players are actually more new to the game versus those who play at some of the highest levels. They also said that much like Killers, the gap between the most and least used perks is much smaller than before, leading to a wider variety of perks in each match, which I can vouch for. I have definitely seen a lot of different perks. You don't see D-Strike anymore. You don't really see Dead Hard all too often. It's always a mixed array of perks and a lot of boon totems, admittingly. The final piece of statistic that we have here shows us the average queue time, the average killer wait time, and the average survivor wait time. And it says that the average queue time is now only 1 minute. This was previously 1.5 minutes, so queue times for everybody is faster, which we love across the board. Definitely a healthy thing. The average killer wait time on a chapter launch day release is up to 240 seconds faster compared to non-matchmaking incentives, which is absolutely beautiful. It used to be 10-15 minutes that you're waiting for a lobby, so now that you're waiting almost 4 minutes shorter is amazing. The average survivor wait time is 40 seconds faster, although survivors on chapter launch days are super quick. You know, that obviously helps as well, giving it a nice average of 60 seconds rather than 1 minute and 30. So all across the board, matchmaking incentives work phenomenally. The community has been saying this for a long time that we need it, and I'm happy that they finally decided to fully implement it, and we are seeing how good it is for the game. Stats are absolutely amazing, and we just got a ton of them, as you can see. I'm hoping in the future we get a little bit more stats, talking more in depth on perks, pick rates, kill rates on all the characters, etc. But that's all the stats that we have for you guys today. We've seen what the most used killer perks are, what the most used survivor perks are, and how those matchmaking incentives are affecting the queue times. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. What does this mean for the future of DBD? Well, we can kind of speculate on that a little bit more now that we know exactly what perks are being used, and if the survivor versus killer side, who's really leading in that division, who's really the stronger side. Now we know according to stats. That's gonna do it for me. I hope you guys do enjoy. Again, we are live on Twitch right now. I would love to see you guys out there, and don't forget to check out our Etsy store. As always, I'm the king. I tip my crown to you guys, and we'll see you in the fog.
I'm living life like a king. Gold on my neck, boy, gold on my rings. Crown got the tilt, I ain't worried about a ting here. Flow so new, but I'm acting like I've been here. Yeah, see, this what I've been doing since the drop. Fire on the arrow when I tell them all to knock. Once I get it going, ain't no way.